members of the Missouri Valley Football Conference, a short memory is an absolute necessity. How's everybody doing? I'm Jay Elson, and this is Coyote Corner. Well, South Dakota was certainly disappointed with its performance, particularly on the offensive side against Youngstown State. But as they've learned over the past few years, in this league, you can't afford hangovers. Saturday, the Coyotes set out to prove they'd put the Penguins behind them as they squared off with Western Illinois. To Hanson Field we go on what was a beautiful October afternoon in Macomb. After the Leathernecks found the end zone on their opening possession, South Dakota looking to follow suit. How about the catch here by Aaron Ramsey? Take another look. Somehow pulls it in. 23-yard gain takes it to the Western 29. Coyotes cap off the 80-yard drive 7 plays later with a 3-yard touchdown run from Trevor Bama, and it's even up at 7 apiece. Things get gutsy on the ensuing kickoff. South Dakota executes the surprise onside kick to perfection. Jet Moreland recovers at midfield to give the Yotes great field position. Unfortunately, though, they would be unable to do anything with it. No such problem for Western. Following the 3-and-out, Trenton Norvell finds his top target, Lance Lenore, and he gets the feet down. Great grab for a 21-yard score. Leathernecks would add a couple of field goals before the half and take a 19-7 lead into the break. Coyotes got it first to start the third quarter, and they got off to a great start. Ryan Sager, it's a streaking Eric Shuford. He goes 55 yards, tack on a little more for a horse collar, and South Dakota is in business at the Western 10. One play later, it's Shamar Jackson takes the jet sweep 10 yards for his first career touchdown. And we've got a brand new ball game, 19-14, Western Illinois. But the Leathernecks answer in a hurry. Norvell drops one right over the shoulder of Joey Borsellino, and he's got nothing but green in front of him. Borsellino caught 4 passes for 112 yards, 61 of them coming right there. Western wasn't done. Still in the third, Norvell continues to spread the wealth. His third touchdown pass of the day. This one going 42 yards to Jalon Acklin. Leathernecks up 40-14 after 3. The Coyotes would get one back in the fourth. Sager connects with Brant Van Rukel for a 10-yard score, but it was too little, too late. South Dakota drops its second straight and its 14th consecutive league game by a count of 40-21. Sager completed 17 of 29 passes for 197 yards and a touchdown, while freshman running back Mike Frederick put up a career-best 90 yards on the ground. But the bottom line, Coyotes could not stop the Leathernecks, who scored on each of their first 7 possessions, and that was the biggest difference in this one.
I don't think it's anything they did. We just didn't play up to our ability. We didn't compete like we could have, like we should have, and that's what's going to happen in the Valley when you don't come out ready to go. You're going to lose. We just got to come together as a team, and that's not necessarily off the field. That's on the field. You know, last week it was offense not doing very well. This week, a little bit of both, but you know, we got to find a way to feed off each other. Really,
we got to focus on bouncing back. We got to focus on what we need to fix, because we got to go up and play a good North Dakota State team next week.
A disappointing day for the defense for sure, but Joe Glenn says it's nothing that can't be fixed. We'll talk about that and more with the Coyotes head coach next.
Coyote Corner on Midcoast Sports Network is presented by Dakota Land Honda.
And welcome back to Coyote Corner, joined now down at the Dakota Dome by the head coach of the University of South Dakota Coyotes, Joe Glenn. And Joe, let's start with the offense in this one. No doubt that it was better this week than it was against Youngstown State. The proof is in the numbers. 21 first downs, 9 of 18 on third down, scoring drives of 80, 75, 50 yards. They held the ball for over 31 minutes. Now, they did leave some things unfinished, but overall, were you encouraged by the improvement that you did see?
Yeah, I think we took a step forward, and we ran the ball hard against a team that stunts and stunts and stunts. We had success running the football. We threw the ball, and we had a touchdown call back, inadvertently, I think. But so, you know, you put that many points on the board, should be close, and but we weren't. We just didn't. We didn't get it done on defense this week.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit more about that. Rough day for that group. Western Illinois put up points on the board on each of its first 7 possessions. They did it with balance on the ground. A lot of Nico Watson. He had 24 carries, 139 yards, and a touchdown. Was he the toughest guy at the running back spot that you faced to this
point?
point?
Oh, yeah. The guy is he's got good feet. He's a downhill guy. He's not super fast, but he's just so powerful. And he did a great job, and the lineman did a great job. But we knew coming in that exactly what he was going to do. We needed to get in our A gaps and B gaps, and that's about where he makes his money. And we just didn't get it done. And I'm really disappointed we didn't hold him down lower, because we're better than that, and we should have played better than that.
Through the air, Trenton Norvell showed why he's one of the top quarterbacks in the Missouri Valley Football Conference. Tossed for 3 touchdowns on the day. 2 of those came in that 21-point third quarter. Why was he able to have so much success over the top against you?
Again, there's some disappointment involved. We just didn't make the plays that we have been making in the secondary. Mike Lilly didn't practice all week because he had a stinger to the head, and but he tried to play on no practice, and it's been my experience that if you don't practice all week, you don't play very well. And Mike struggled, and then give him credit. You know, they threw some long passes that they put right on the money, made the catch, got behind us, and it just can't happen.
All right, well, anytime a game doesn't go your way, you're going to look back at the opportunities that got away. There are a few of them against Western Illinois, but 2 that were really, I thought, potential game changers. The first came off after that surprise onside kick in the first quarter after your initial touchdown. The other was after the touchdown at the start of the second half. Those are moments that if you seize them, maybe the game comes out a little bit differently.
You know, if the coaching staff finds a way to make a big call like that and to execute it and get the ball on a surprise onside kick, the game is tight, and then you go in there and 3 and out. You got to rally, man. You got to rally when you're in a big game and you get such a critical play as an onside kick. Surprise, you're on that side of the 50-yard line. You got to raise Cain, boy. Let's get it going, and that was to me the turning point of the game, really.
From an individual standpoint, running back Michael Frederick, I thought, had his best day as a Coyote. 19 carries, 90 yards, average of 4.7. How'd you feel about the play of your freshman on Saturday?
Yeah, that was excellent. The guy chose his holes very, very well and played tough when there wasn't a hole there. And we were like 3rd and short, 4th and short. He fought hard to get that extra yard, even though he's not a big bruising running back. He's got some strength, he's got some toughness, and he fought hard for a yard here or 2 yards there when we needed it on 4th or 3rd down to move the chains. And I was real happy with the way Mike played. He's a tough kid.
Now, of course, his workload increased due to another injury to Trevor Baum. This was the 2nd straight week that Trevor had to leave the game. Was the ankle against Youngstown State, looked like a forearm against Western Illinois. What happened to him, and what's his status going forward?
He took a jolt. He's got a steel plate in his right arm from a break last year, and he's having trouble squeezing his hand to hold the football, and he's smart enough to realize if he can't get a great grip on the football, just to stay out. And we'll see how this thing settles down, but as of right now, I don't know.
Going to take some time. All right, well, thanks for your time again this week, Joe. We're going to have more from the head coach coming up in a bit, but first, going to take one final look at Western Illinois. Andre Fields steps in next to talk about Saturday storylines.
Coyote Corner on Midcoast Sports Network is presented by Dakota Land Honda.
And welcome back. Well, we've heard from the head coach. Now it's time to hear from our own Andre Fields. He gets a chance to weigh in on Saturday's loss to Western Illinois. It is time for Saturday storylines. And Andre, it was not a good day for the defense. As we mentioned earlier, Western Illinois scored on its first 7 possessions. There wasn't much that they wanted to do that they couldn't do. Coyote surrendered a season-high 514 yards. 226 of those came on the ground, also a season high. And I think what made that all so disappointing was the fact that this group had looked pretty good through 4 games.
Yeah, and I think that is the most disappointing part, is you kind of thought maybe this would continue, but you're going to have games like this. I think the most important stat there, 226 yards rushing. They installed the 4-3 to stop the rush. You're going to have some games where you give up some yardage. That, you can't sustain that necessarily throughout a whole entire season. You'd like to, but the fact that they gave up so much on the ground is something I'm sure they're going to really address this week.
To be fair, Nico Watson is a bowling ball. He is every bit as good as advertised, and certainly a tough guy to bring down. But you're right. They got to do better in that regard. On the other side of the ball, the offense was much better than they were the week before against Youngstown State. We saw them put together three nice scoring drives. They moved the chains 21 times. They held the ball for better than half the game. Could they have done more? Yes, they had some things that they did not finish, but overall, they definitely took a step forward.
Yeah, and I think for the confidence of the offense, they needed a game like this where they moved the chains. You said 21 first downs. That's something you can definitely build on. As you said, a lot of positives to take from this offensively. They really needed to have a game like this coming off of the game that they had last week against Youngstown.
Yep, instills some confidence, certainly. They were also good on third down, 50%, 9 of 18 on the day, 2 of 3 on fourth down. So certainly some things to build on for Wes Bashaner's group going into this week. Well, one of the big positives of the day, at least from an individual standpoint, was the play of freshman running back Mike Frederick. He sets career highs with 19 carries, 90 yards on the ground. Coaches were talking this guy up throughout fall camp, but this was our first chance to get a real long look at him, and I, for one, liked what I saw.
Yeah, I did too. I mean, this is a guy who's more of a shifty back. He's fast. Like you said, we heard a lot about him in the preseason, and now he finally got an opportunity to get some quality minutes, some quality carries, and he showed us what he can do. I think going forward, it's going to be really good to see him flourish and grow, and as he gets longer into the season, he's no longer a true freshman anymore. He's just going to be Michael Frederick, the running back.
All right, well, Frederick, it's important to know, Frederick got more work because of the injury to Trevor Bama, but Bama's injury actually was not the most significant on Saturday. There was a scary one involving right guard Sam McLaren. The sophomore offensive lineman suffered a spinal cord injury during the second quarter on Saturday and was taken from the field on a stretcher. The athletic department provided an update on his condition in a statement that was released on Monday afternoon. It says in part that McLaren was experiencing numbness and a lack of mobility on his right side. He was transported by ambulance to the hospital in Macomb, Illinois, where he was subsequently airlifted to Iowa City, Iowa for care. McLaren has since regained limited mobility and was able to walk with assistance. He will be moved to a rehabilitation center in Cedar Rapids, Iowa later this week. Still a ways to go, certainly, but some encouraging news following what was a very scary situation, especially in person. And Andre, this is something that puts the rest of what happened Saturday into some perspective, because the bottom line is football is just a game. These people matter much more than the result on the field.
Yeah, absolutely. And we just wish the best for Slam McLaren and his family. I think he's going to pull through this. We're all pulling for him. But as you said, things like this show that it's much bigger than just a game of football. It's much bigger than wins and losses. So hopefully he recovers quickly and he can get back with his team.
Absolutely. And as we said, certainly wish him the best going forward. And our thoughts are with you, Sam. All right, well, the Coyotes will face an even tougher test this weekend as they head to Fargo to take on North Dakota State. We're going to preview the matchup with the Bison next.
Coyote Corner on Midcoast Sports Network is presented by Dakota Land Honda.
The road doesn't get any easier for South Dakota this week. If they're going to get things turned around, they're going to have to do it against the four-time defending national champs. The Coyotes will visit North Dakota State in Fargo on Saturday afternoon. And for more on the Bison, we bring in Midco-SN analyst Brian Shaw. Brian, NDSU survived a bit of a scare against Northern Iowa last week, getting a last-minute touchdown to beat the Panthers 31-28. Now, this wasn't the first time UNI has nearly found a way to win in Fargo. Why have they been such a challenge for the Bison?
Northern Iowa has always given North Dakota State problems because they play with the same type of physicality, frankly, that North Dakota State does, and are just disruptive and just go toe-to-toe. It's a violent football game when those two teams play. It's as violent of a football game as I've seen anywhere in the Missouri Valley. And that's always a game that's tough for North Dakota State, whether it's at home or on the road. And it was a violent game. It was a physical game. And Northern Iowa made, frankly, big plays in the running game, and particular from the quarterback, that really kept them moving. And they made just enough big plays, even though they didn't have much for time of possession, really gashed the Bison defense.
Well, let's talk about that defense. That group has been the backbone of this program for such a long time, but UNI and Montana before them have put together some pretty good offensive performances against NDSU. Is there a weakness there that maybe hasn't been there over the past few years?
I think if there's a weakness right now for North Dakota State, what they've shown is they have the susceptibility to give up the big play, and that's where they've given up most of their points. So it's it's tough to drive the length of the field on the Bison defense. It's tough to put together one of those 10, 12 play drives that take 5-6 minutes and cap it off with a touchdown because they're so well schooled. But they do have some new pieces, in particular in the secondary and at linebacker. And those guys at times have missed assignments, and it's led to some huge plays for opponents. So I think that's a concern, I think, for NDSU. But I also think they feel their defense is going to get better as the season goes along and those guys play more reps. And the hope is they won't be giving up those big plays in November and December potentially in the playoffs. So we'll see how they progress here in the next few weeks. But that right now I think is a concern.
Finally, you can't talk about North Dakota State without mentioning their quarterback, Carson Wentz. He's not a Valley secret anymore, Brian. He took over for an awfully successful guy in Brock Jensen. My question to you is, what separates him from his predecessor?
Well, there's no question in my mind that Carson Wentz is asked to do a lot more offensively than Brock Jensen was asked to do. And that's not saying Brock was a bad player or wasn't a valuable player, because we've certainly seen him come through in the clutch numerous times. I mean, that's why he's won 50 career games as a quarterback here. But Carson Wentz, has had to make play after play in the passing game and running the football and getting everybody in the right sets to make his team better. I mean, he flat out made some throws into coverage that a lot of quarterbacks just can't make. I don't care if it's FCS, FBS, whatever. Carson Wentz has made those throws consistently. And I think what makes him so special is that he spreads the football around and he's able to make his reads and checks at the line of scrimmage and get NDSU into the right play. So that's the one thing that stands out about me, is his ability to control things at the line of scrimmage and in the huddle and put that team in the best position to be successful once the ball is snapped.
That again, Midco SN analyst Brian Shaw. Well, the Coyotes will face Wentz and the Bison on Saturday afternoon. NDSU has won 5 straight in the series and 15 in a row against the Coyotes in Fargo. So don't think for a second that Joe Glenn and his team don't understand the challenge that lies in front of them.
It's a great challenge, and our kids will fight. They'll get up there and get into it, and they have dominated almost everybody that they have played. They had a little trouble at Montana. And then Northern Iowa gave them a heck of a game. Let's see how much we've improved, if we can this week, if we can over the last couple of years. Let's get after it. We'll have to find a way to go up there and get some points and see if we can't hold them down a little bit.
The Coyotes come in at 2-3 overall and 0-2 in the Valley. North Dakota State, meanwhile, which is currently ranked second in both FCS polls, is 4-1 overall and 2-0 in the league. Kickoff at the Fargo Dome is slated for 2:30, and you will be able to see that game live right here on Midco Sports Network. I will also be posting live updates throughout that contest, so if you don't already, be sure to follow me at Elson Midco SN. Well, the Coyote volleyball team picked up a big win over the weekend. We'll have the highlights from that, as well as a look at what's happening with some of South Dakota's other fall sports programs when we come back.
Coyote Corner on Midco Sports Network is presented by Dakota Land Honda.
Welcome back. Well, it's time for another quick check of what's happening around University of South Dakota athletics. And to get you caught up on this past weekend's results, here's Alex Heiner.
Thanks, Jay. Well, let's start with volleyball, where Leanne Williamson's Coyotes were hoping to put their 0-4 start to Summit League Conference play behind them with a big win at home over Oral Roberts. The Yotes had little trouble early on, winning Game 1 25-11. The Golden Eagles, though, who had lost just once in the Summit this season, would storm back, winning the next 2 games and pushing USD to the brink in Game 4. Despite a few close calls, the Coyotes would find a way, though, in the end, taking the match in 5 to earn their first conference win of the season. Big night for sophomore setter Brittany Jessen. She puts up 52 assists and 15 digs, while junior Audrey Rieg records a double-double of her own, leading the team with 19 kills on the night and adding 11 digs. The Yotes are at SDSU this evening before hosting perennial Summit Powers IUPUI in Fort Wayne this Friday and Saturday. Just one match this past week for the Coyotes soccer team, a tough road test against a North Dakota State side that had started conference play a perfect 3-0, The Yotes would have a few good opportunities to score, and they tested Bison keeper Sierra Bonham on occasion, but neither side could break the deadlock in regulation or in the initial overtime. In the 105th minute, though, of the second extra period, NDSU's Lauren Miller would find Brittany Montione, and she'd find the back of the net for the game-winning goal. The 1-0 double OT win preserves the Bison's unblemished conference record this season, while USD falls now to 1-3 in Summit League play, despite outshooting NDSU 17-14. The Coyotes have 2 more key road trips on the way this weekend, as they'll go to Brookings to play defending regular season and tournament champs SDSU Friday, before heading south to face Omaha on Sunday. Finally, USD opened up their home swimming and diving season Saturday with a duel against Western Illinois. Lots of pre-meet enthusiasm from the team and lots of reason to celebrate afterward. The Coyotes would combine to sweep the Leathernecks, with the men winning 134-108 and the women cruising to a 141-66 victory. Two-time Summit League Diver of the Year Grayson Herding would win both the 1-meter and 3-meter events on the women's side, while freshman Hunter Padgett would pick up 2 individual wins for the men, taking first in the 200-meter freestyle and breaking a 20-year-old school record in the 400-meter free. Such promising early returns make it easy to see why Coyote head coach Jason Mahold is feeling optimistic about the season.
We're really just looking to improve and get better each and every year, and with the squad we've got this year, with the freshman class and some transfers we have in, I definitely think we're, on paper, a better team than we were a year ago.
The Yote women are back in action on October 22nd in a duel in the Dakota Dome against Northern Iowa, while the men resume their season 2 weeks later in Ames on November 6th and 7th against Iowa State and TCU, Jay.
All right, sounds like a couple of big challenges for them. Thanks, Alex. Good luck to the swimmers and divers and the rest of the fall sports programs as they continue their season. That is going to do it for us for this week. For Alex Heinert, I'm Jay Elson. We'll see you back here next Tuesday night for another episode of Coyote Corner.